Greetings, dear viewers. We are happy to welcome you today to Alatra TV Africa. Today, we are able to gather different people from different countries in Africa on a round table in an open discussion of journalism of a new format in a creative society. We are going to discuss the role of the mass media in our society. Why is this necessary? At present, from observation and from interviews and surveys we have conducted so far, there is a need for a fundamentally new direction for development and a new organizational model of journalism, because what we observed and what we, from the surveys conducted, what we reported is that the present consumer system of values have demonstrated a complete failure. In fact, it has placed humanity on the verge of self-destruction. So it becomes necessary that today on our discussion, we will be discussing based on the ideas of implementing the 8 foundations of the creative society, which represents the aim and the striving of every human, and are the basis of our society where people can live happily and with dignity. When we discuss the creative, what creative society is for each of us, the model of society where you, your loved ones, and everyone in the world will live comfortably in all spheres of life. And it is possible, this creative society, this opportunity to discuss it is possible thanks to technology and the rule of the 6 handshake, which means that we are all connected through 5 or even less social connections. We are going to elaborate on solutions that will be offered by these progressive journalists that we've been able to gather here today. And it's all about finding ways out of the crisis in journalism and about setting up a new trend for media in the creative society.
Thank you very much, Kanu. And I would like to introduce this project, Creative Society, and tell a little bit more about the idea and how it appeared. So after the global conference, Society the Last Chance, that took place on May 11, 2019, many people united from different countries of the world in live communication. People discussed vital questions for our society, like why do we still have wars, international conflicts, racial and religious discrimination, if all people of the world primarily want the same thing, peace and happy life. As a result of this conference, people came to an understanding that the main reason for such a situation in the world we're facing right now is the consumer-based format of relations. So today, as never, we need to unite and choose a new vector of development for our society, such as creative society. So it's a unique global project initiated by people themselves all over the world. And the goal of the project is to achieve creative society by peaceful means. Such a society where each person in the world will live happily and live in comfort and have everything necessary for living. Secure and stable society where each person is confident in his future. I would like to tell our viewers that you may find out more about this project on alatraunites.com website. So going back to our topic, mass media and journalism, the mass media serves the purpose of establishing a constructive information field, the culture of popularization of kindness, moral values, knowledge, good, conscience, honor, dignity, and friendship spreads among people, and positive creative models of examples of thinking of the best human actions. And today, many people gathered today. I want to pass the floor to Olga and introduce the countries that gathered today in this round table.
Thank you so much, Olga. My name is also Olga from Russia, and today we are continuing the series of our telebridges that we started. And last time when we had our telebridge of friendship, we didn't cover the section of journalism. And today we'll be talking about it in detailed way, because we realized after journalists actually was giving us feedback after this important event, breach of friendship, that they want to raise a couple of fundamental issues. And one of them is actually losing trust in basically in mass media. The second is transparency and fake news. So why do these phenomena still exist? No one can understand, and we should try to reconsider and try to maybe find solution how maybe to get rid of this phenomena in the mass media. The next topic they will be talking about is actually creative ideology. We have a speaker from Rwanda who will be telling to us why it's important to use the Fifth Alatra Foundation creative ideology in journalism. And let me introduce also the first speaker of today's telebridge. It's Muhansin Ahmed. She's a social activist, and she'll be talking about reducing conflicts and how the mass media can help us to reduce conflicts. So Muhansin Ahmed, if you hear us, so we can, the floor is yours.
Okay, Olega, it's my pleasure to talk to you today. I'm Muhansin Ahmed from Sudan. My topic today, we will know how the mass media reducing the effect of conflict that has been happening. So
I think you have a presentation. Let us ask the technical support if the technical support can show to us what you have prepared, because it's a very important topic, and it's great that we can have it also on the screen while you'll be delivering your speech.
While you're preparing it, I would like to say something about why do we have now a crisis in journalism. Until that time, you're gonna fix the problem, right? Yeah. So one of the main problems that the time management. So we know that time is everything. So whenever you just do the thing in the right time, you just wasting. So also we have narrow spread of development, and also psychological and nervous pressure. And you know that when you are in a pressure and you have bad mood, you're gonna do something opposite than that you want to do it. Also we have challenging objectivity, and also we have censorship, also technical challenges. And the last is violence and terrorism challenges. So this is all this make us now live in crisis with all the thing in mass media or journalism. So I would like to just turn on to my presentation. If it gets ready, let me to introduce it. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, we hear you. And now we have also your presentation already on the screen.
We have the first slide about the role of mass media in reducing conflict.
Okay.
You're welcome. Yes, to continue, please.
Yes, yes, yes. Wait. Okay, we're going to know the role of the mass media in reducing conflict by Muhansin from Sudan. Let's achieve. I don't know, it's too not clear for me to see it. I don't know. Okay, this is cool. So information is the power. Insight can impact on public discourse. Different type of media are utilized globally to distribute knowledge, and idealistically free mass media a tool of anti food for democracy and also one of human right to presentation and of different opinions in the different societies in the world. Move it. Okay. So we want to know the disadvantages of misuse media. Spread rumors, inside, hated, artificially created tension. Lack of information can, at any stage of a conflict, make people desperate, res- restless, and easy to manipulate. It. The ability to make information decision strengthen society and factors economic growth, democratic structure, and positive outlook on the future. So only help to distribute information, but also counter hate speech and created an environment of balanced opinions and information equilibrium. If democracy is to work properly, society needs access to new and information analyzed to the of the status debate, particularly information and exchange as well as entertainment are needed and provided by the media. The definition of the conflict and define conflict areas is not easy and not two places are alike. Journalists need to know what they can expect on site in the order to define their objective. Here we would know to the relation between mass media and the conflict. So internal conflicts that happen in the specific place do not occur accidentally, but tend to have a history. So local media usually have deep understanding of the existing potential structure and participants of the conflict. The media have the power to diffuse attention before they even reach a critical point and keep a critical eye on government, opposition, and society by supplying credible information and reaching a large audience. Also help in managing conflict and promote democratic principles. In the aftermath of the conflict, reconciliation and social development can be encouraged as well. So here I will tell you a small story that happened with me in order to know that the mass media and journalism not all time can transfer the right information to the community and the global world. So when it happened in 2003, there is a conflict in the region of Darfur. It was in Kutum locality. So there is a conflict between the government and the army. So the government shows that this conflict is just like a problem between tribes and shows the whole world that this is not just a problem in they have a power to do this, but no, this is just two tribes are judgment on the land or resources of this. So this thing it happened and it extends to be that stick in their mind of people that the problem there is just an tribalism and ethnic groups they are fighting together. So after the demonstration of December that happened in Sudan, so the facts became to be reality, and people they figure out that the government have a power and have the whole hand in making this conflict, and they began to believe that, yeah, there is people die, uh, people they are suffer, people they facing hunger, facing shortage in the food, all this stuff. They, after this happened, they recognize that, yeah, this is really happened, because there is a shock that happened in the Khartoum when the 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 state would be broke, when people they are together, they are making like demonstration or that stuff. So after the agreement between the government and the others rebels they made together, after they finished, yes, and there is a crisis happen in Khartoum, then the people started to believe that, yeah, there is problem happen in Darfur and all areas and all remote areas that happen in all region of Sudan. So this is the one of the bad use of mass media to transfer the fake news, the fake problems. So after this, yeah, we can change this by uh, doing this thing by our own humanity, and try to just figure out the truth and the right topic, the right thing, in order to know the audience that we are what we are going to do in the society. So this is our role and our aims in our community to fix it. The main problem that now we face it. I would like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. And if there is any question, try to ask me.
Mm. Thank you so much for your presentations. It's actually brought us important issues that, of course, the mass media plays a crucial role to reduce the conflict and not to exaggerate it, not to amplify it, but to make it, even if we have to show, let's say, like the reality, and we have sometimes the conflicts, we should show them in the unbiased way. So basically, this is how it is. And as you mentioned in your presentation, the journalists should thoroughly study the situation by themselves. So not only copy paste the messages of each other, and in the end of the day, this Darfur story is, becoming bigger, not because of the conflict itself, but the journalists starting to amplify the conflict artificially. And it's a very important topic here. And now we are passing the floor to our second speaker, who will be talking about ethics in journalism, because ethics in journalism, it's another fundamental issue that we are unfortunately starting to forget. And let me introduce to you Mohammed Atia. He can also introduce himself in a more detailed way and tell us about ethics in journalism.
Yes, hi, hello, and thank you for the opportunity. It's absolutely an honor to be with you people. And I would like to start immediately by mentioning the story of the first speaker, Mahasin. Yes, it's true, and it is happening. And that's why the journalist is the journalist ethics is very much important. So we can make sure that all stories, all news are just applied and just delivered to the audience as it's supposed to be. Like, for example, if we applied one of those ethics in in journalism, no fake news will happen, no breaking news that has its own purposes, or it has its own way to the propaganda will happen, like applying the accuracy, applying the standards, and avoiding the calendars. Also using type of news like using type of news that's using a harm limitation principle. Like, for example, if I do have some news, and by mentioning or by reporting those type of news, it's not necessary to bring all the information about the criminals or about the situation itself, because sometimes I might mention a fact or a name that it has no any relation with the report or with the news, and it might harm people. So we should take in consideration those things. And also the copyright thing, the generous ethics. If I am a reporter and if I do have my own report, it's not easy to make those reports. It's not easy to deliver those type of news about reports. So it's not also fair to bring another reporter or another journalist to take those reports or those rights and to mention it as it is his job. So there is a lot of ethics that we supposed to take in consideration while doing the journalism. Also, in another example, the ethics of the journalism itself can be consist of a good practices and apply it on a professional challenges. A good reporter practicing well and then applying these practicing in a professional way, removing emotions, removing the nepotism, removing anything who can affect on those type of reports. Plus, the basic rules of any general ethics may appear on the philosophy of the principles that it might be applied. Also, the philosophy might be different from a journalist to another, but all philosophies should be all together. If we applied some factors like I can tell if we applied some factors like the truth, like the accuracy, like the impartiality, responsibility, and also forgiveness. And if we applied all those factors in front of the readers and we can reach to the report or we can reach to a news that it is absolutely following and applying all the ethics that the journalist needs. This is a short brief of what is the journalist ethics according to my opinion. I wish it was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And actually, as we said in the beginning, that today's roundtable is based on 8 ALLATRA foundations, and you actually really well opened up and deepened into the 4th ALLATRA foundation. Not only, but I would like to show this foundation on the screen and want to ask technical support to show us this foundation and read it aloud. Transparency and openness of information for all. And every human has the right to receive reliable information about the movement and distribution of public funds. Each human has access to information about the status of implementation of the society's decisions. The mass media belongs exclusively to the society and reflect information truthfully, openly, and honestly. Thank you very much for your speech. Really appreciate it. And I would like to introduce next speaker, Kiram from Ethiopia, who will also deep into this foundation and tell us some points of his vision on this foundation. Kiram, welcome.
Thank you very much, Olga. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to join you here today. It's a very important topic that we are talking today, as it affects everybody's life, whether we are journalists or not. So transparency and openness of information for all is very crucial as we speak. There is this fundamental concept that describes media as the fourth state. It means it creates a sense of balance whether the public gets the right information, the proper information at the right time, and that information will be used properly. So in media had a very important role here, in be it in the government, in governance, or in general public discourse. Therefore, this is very important concept. But here there is something that needs to be clear. What needs to be uh, open for the wider public? We are living in a society where suspicion and tight tight grip hold is very common everywhere, in every corner of the world. So whenever we are talking about sharing information or making available every information, it comes in contradiction with such concept of living, where we are all governed by different administrations, where we have also rights, the very right to have the information and the openness of the public, or every information to be governed properly. But at the same time, this has been compromised by the sense of the way governments or those who are holding the information use that particular information because of their existence, the mere existence in general. For instance, if I can give you an example, recently, a very popular magazine in Ethiopia published a continuous information regarding the army structure. And that has been very critical for the government. It's like selling out the internal information, which is a very sensitive security information, to perhaps to the enemies, quote unquote. So that needs to be very critically seen. But at the same time, when it comes to public consumption, other issues that entail the public directly, the public benefit. For instance, if you take, for instance, the mining industry, it should be clearly availed for the public how mines are being invested, and that in a way can help in avoiding corruption. So this is a very noble foundation, which is the fourth foundation of the creative society. So I take it very seriously, and it should also be, it should also be seen very carefully as we are promoting openness. It may create certain kind of contradiction with the governments or the institutions that we are representing. And one additional point that I would like to mention here is that while withholding information, previous speakers were highlighting that the ethics and the challenges faced while exercising journalism. While withholding information, it's high time that information could come out or could be served for the open society in a wrong way. So having the information in a proper way, or availing the information, or that particular information for the public, can also avoid or eliminate the misinformation, or help the public to be well informed in that particular topic. So this could be a way by which those who execute or those who run that particular information can come to the ethics of journalism, if you were talking about a certain media organization. Otherwise, for the public consumption, it's very important that the public had the proper information at the right time. But I want to stress that every country, every society that is being governed by a certain group or an institution is subject to face certain limitation of information. Having that in mind, it's the right of the public to have the right information, the proper information, not to be misled. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kiran, for your presentation. Basically, we can say that Transparency and openness of information for all can serve as a basic for ethics in journalism. Because of course we must show the information in a transparent and honest way. And the second part of this foundation tell us that the mass media belong to exclusively to the society in the creative community. And when mass media belong to society, and we don't have the private interests that sometimes are coming into play, of course, the information will be presented openly, honestly, and truthfully for everyone. And let us now present our fourth speaker. His name is Sergey, and he will tell us about the global project that is now being implemented on the platform of ALLATRA International Public Movement. It's creative society, because for us, it's impossible to think about journalism or whatever branch of science we have, whether it's even archaeology, physics, climate, isolated from creative society. And journalism, it's part of creative society project, undoubtedly. And Sergey, can you please tell us about the upcoming conference that we are expecting 20th of December?
Good evening, everyone. Good day. It depends on which part of the world you've joined. It's a great pleasure for me to see you all. And in order to start, in order to understand the importance of the Creative Society project, I'd like to ask a few questions that me, you, and our guests and all people can ask themselves. Are you happy? Really? Like, you wake up with a smile? Just look around what's happening. Do you and your family, do you feel secure? Do you feel comfortable about your future? Are you sure that tomorrow you will be provided with all the necessary things? Are you sure that this consumerism format of the society that we have right now, it's okay? No need, nothing to change. That's totally fine. It's all amazing the way we live. Are you secure about your kids when you send them to school? And you are totally comfortable that when they are coming back from school, they will be totally fine? You know, this kind of questions, we can go for a really long time, but I'm pretty sure that everyone right now in today's society asking themselves these kind of questions, and more often. And one might think like, what do I have to do with all these things? These things just happening around, and what I can do alone? Like, I live in the small village, or I live in the small town. What do I have to do with all these things? Someone else could do these things to change. But hold on a second. We are 8 billion of people. And this is format of society that we have. So it means either we participated in building this consumerism society, or we were just silently accepting whatever is happening. And in today's world, I think two main sources of information or of spreading the news, it's social media, social networks, and what we call as mass media. So right now I'll answer the question, when even one person in today's world, how he or she is important. Every day we watch something in I don't know, in YouTube, in Facebook, in Instagram. Every some people maybe every minute they post something in their stories in Instagram or in Facebook. They share something. And if we think that somehow we are not influencing people around with the information that we accept and then reshare, then I think we are not fully understanding the globality of today's society and how we are all connected, how our choice of information, how our perception and later on how it influences our mood, and later on what we transmit to our friends, relatives, and to our families. It all influences today's society. And even one person today can do really a lot, can do either a lot of good things or a lot of negative things, spreading negative news, rumors, conflicts, and so on and so forth. And still today, the mass media plays a great role, because what we see on TV, what we see here on radio, what we read in newspapers, I think it's today we all need to realize, especially reporters need to realize the responsibility that they hold. We do this news and we do these programs not just for some other people, for someone else outside of the screen, but we do these things for our kids. We do these things for our neighbors. We do these things for ourselves. Because later on, when we look outside and we question ourselves, why is there is so much violence outside? Why is there is so much instability? But have a look at what we are producing. I think it's high time that we forget about the fake news. It's high time that we put the human on the first place, that human's life and human's value will be the top priority. And it's high time that we make the news not for rating, but we, as was previously said by previous speakers, we show the objective picture from all the sides as reporters, and so the people can make a wise decision on what is happening. And on the 20th of December, there would be a massive international online conference initiated by caring people who really care about the future of the society. And I think we have a video, if we can have a look.
Every day, we share a great amount of information. This information forms our reality. Is this the way we wish to live? We need change. The change starts with us, with the information we share. Consumerist society leads us to death. We need a new vector of life, a creative society. It is up to you and me to build a creative society worldwide, where human life is the main value. Development of humanity is the main aim. Human safety is the main priority. Is it possible to build a creative society now? Yes. All we need to do is unite in one common idea, a creative society. People around the world are already acting to share the idea of creative society with the whole world to make it a reality. Learn how on the unique international online conference, Creative Society, United We Can, December 20th, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live on Alatra TV. You are the one who can change the future.
So now the choice is yours, dear viewers and dear participants. Either we will just continue pretending that nothing is happening and everything is fine, or we will go to our neighbors, or we'll just take our cell phone and even sitting on the couch, we can inform literally thousands of people about there is another option. There is another way. It's totally possible. We are 8 billion of people. If we manage to create such a difficult format where everybody suffers and literally survives, not lives, then if we get together, we can create another format. And I would suggest to today's speakers that if we can share this conference on your platforms or through any resources of yours that you would like to, and if you would support this idea of the creative society, then maybe you will have your ideas how we can put this news about the Creative Society conference as massive as possible so that a lot of people will find out about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sergey, for
Thank
this
you, Sergey.
great news. And Kanu maybe would like to say something, yeah?
Yes, it was a great one, like you said. And when the speakers were speaking, making their presentations, I think one of them did say that, yeah, there may be different philosophies, but then we could all get these philosophies together and then, you know, in truth, move the society forward. And we were talking about an open society, a creative society, and it is not something that, you know, we will shirk the responsibility to others. It is something that in our small ways we can contribute to. And this global conference coming up on the 20th December 2020 is an opportunity for us to also contribute our part to seeing those changes that we really would want. Seeing that society that we would want to, you know, a society where we'll be comfortable, as Sagai was saying, where we feel secured and safe, where we, purchase a future for our children and grandchildren. So it is important that in our own small ways, we could advertise, that is broadcast this adverts, this information about the Creative Society to as many people as we could through our social media. Like Olga said while we were doing the pre-course, that we are all journalists now. The social media, the internet has provided that all of us could reach out to several thousands of people sitting in our house, in our homes. So thank you, Sagai. And it is now incumbent on us to see how we could make others know about this Creative Society conference, because the more people get to know about it, why? The faster that society can come to be. Thank you, Sagai. And Olga, I give it back to you, perhaps to introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kano. I agree with you that the faster actually we will be informing our people, like even from the list on the phone, our friends, I don't know, acquaintances, colleagues at works. Basically, the faster we will come to the Creative Society. And let me introduce our next speaker, a journalist from Cameroon, and she'll be talking about trust. So why we are losing trust in the mass media nowadays. So based on my experience, I would say that basically almost none of my friends is watching TV any longer, because they're saying, why I should turn on any news and be depressed after that? Why should I watch this negativity when the mass media is portraying to us that we should have enemies anywhere? Why we should only think about terrorism? Isn't it there good news at all? So why should we actually lose trust, and how not to lose trust in the mass media? Our next presentation will be about this topic. So Claudia, the floor is yours. You can introduce yourself also, maybe. Claudia, do you hear us? Because
yes, Olga, I can hear you clearly. Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Claudia Ngombet from Cameroon. I'm the publisher of C News 24. Okay, I'm trying to connect using my phone, the computer. Okay, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, I'll be presenting about rebuilding media trust in today's digital era. And to do that, I would go with this. So I would like to share my screen with you.
Okay, so you're putting a lot of efforts to make us know why we should
Yeah.
not to lose trust in the creative mass media.
Okay, I
I'm
hope my
sorry.
screen is now
Yes,
shareable.
you won't be able to share the screen. Only technical support allowed to do that.
Okay.
So yes, the presentation we showed earlier, we have prepared ahead of time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on this topic, I would first of all present an introduction, a situational analysis of media trust. Why we have arrived to the point of that media distrust, what led to the public not trusting the media, unlike in the yesteryears. So during my research, I discovered that the public in the early years or in the past years trusted the media and journalists as their primary source of information. But today, with a lot of information on the internet, the story seems to take another dimension. That we don't hear news, we don't hear about accidents, a lot of negativity on the internet in our present day society. And that has caused a lot of distrust because people do not see what is happening around them that they really want the media to portray to the public. And that has really pulled them away from the media. They no more trust the media. And I proceeded by looking at the factors because it doesn't happen on its own. There are a lot of factors that leads to this distrust of the public via the mass media. And one of these is the fact that there is a lot of dependency on one another for news. Journalists tend to depend on one another for news rather than in going to the field as they used to do. So they practice a certain sort of journalism that's called pack journalism, because many media today are represented online. So rather than going to the field to get the facts, the exact story, journalists prefer that I publish my story and another journalist comes and copy the story and shares it. And in that case, if I am sharing something that is maybe sponsored, an article that is sponsored, or with a lot of misinformation in it, the third party or the second person will come and copy that same information and spread it. And that's how information spreads rapidly. Yeah, furthermore, we look at the lack of insufficient resources for journalists. The lack of insufficient resources has made journalists to miss public trust because they don't have a lot of resources that will help them do their activities, carry on their journalism practices on their daily basis without depending on maybe an individual or sponsors. And in this case, we see that there are some journalists that are fully independent, but they run a whole media. This especially with the bloggers. We see bloggers who do not have maybe an editor. They don't have a sound editor, a script editor. They have no photographer and they want to do everything on their own. But we can't really blame all of them because they lack the sufficient resources to do this. And in such instances, we can find people, especially politicians, that come up to these journalists or independent media to sponsor particular programs or a particular article that might even be contrary to the journalism ethics. But because they are in need of the resources, they would tend to go for what the politician or the institution is proposing to them. And in that case, most often we see hate speech circulating today on the social media. One ethnic group is accusing the other, insulting the other, and seeing itself as superior over the other. And that's what is trying to breach the love or to divide people, send people apart, despite the advent of the internet and social media that's aimed to bring people more connected to one another. But we've seen that with this advent of the internet, it has rather tried to divide to, or maybe to push people further away and to their loved ones. But those that are far, they instead connect with those that are far more than those that are closer to them. So in this case, in Cameroon, we call it gombo. That's receiving bribe, or what we call the brown envelope. And most often when you receive this as a journalist, you would obviously dance to the tune of the provider, because it is always said that he that pays the piper dictates the tune. So that's why practicing journalism today in the world has become very challenging, especially for independent journalists who do not have enough resources to serve or maybe to independently cover events and investigate stories to bring out the real truth or the facts behind the story. That's the other side of the story. So this has really led to a distrust of the public vis-a-vis mass media. And proceeding, we'll see that there is also a lot of press censorship, either from politicians, individuals, businessmen, or institutions, or even the state. The state, for instance, determines what you have to portray or disseminate to the public, because each country has its editorial policy or maybe a communication department that governs the mass media or media organs in this country. So even at the level of media organs, there is still a lot of press censorship, because the publisher wants to respect its editorial line. A journalist may go to the field and see something that's happening there and wants to speak out the truth. But because the media is a pro-government media, the journalist, maybe at times the article will not be published, or the article will be published in another, using another angle that will favor the publisher, and that will fall within the editorial line of the newspaper or that particular media organ. And this has really contributed to distrust of the public, distrust of the mass media by the public, because what they see, thanks to the availability of smartphones and technological advancement, before anything happens today, it already goes viral on the internet, because we are in an era of superhighway, information superhighway, where information spreads at the speed of light. And besides press censorship, we notice that there is a lot of oppression and repression of journalists and media organs. Journalists, most often when they go to the field to investigate stories, especially in conflict zones, most often they are kidnapped, they are threatened, and others are even killed to the point of death. So this has really affected the way they report their stories, because when they don't go to the field, they might not really have enough facts to support the points that they are bringing forth. And at times they might be biased, or they bring out or they publish a story that's either suspended. They tend to suspend the public, the readers, the viewers, and that has really contributed to distrust of the mass media. Moving to that, moving from that, we would like to show or maybe ask what is the way forward after the media has already lost this trust of the public. How do we proceed? Do we need to give up on what we are doing, a profession, because we don't have the trust of the public again, or what is the way forward? And to answer that question, I proceeded by bringing forth, but sorry for that, by bringing forth some points that will answer this question. And the first point here is calling on all journalists to engage in community journalism. Journalists have the right to move from maybe to redefine journalism and to turn to the community, give the community what they want to hear. Thus, the community should be able to identify themselves in the news. The journalist should be part of the news and not just stay as a reporter, especially in situations where a journalist goes to the field, or maybe a journalist is passing somewhere and maybe there's a car accident, a car crash, or some individuals are fighting. Will the journalist only focus on reporting the event by maybe removing the camera and start recording, going on live, whereas the journalist also has the right to maybe save lives and respect some moral values that govern the society, because the journalist is part of the community, and the journalist must not stay away as if the journalist is a total outsider. The journalist should report news as being part of the community and not as a stranger. From that, we move to diversity and social inclusion. We've tend to notice that news nowadays is really focused on a particular area, maybe focusing on a particular class, the politicians, the rich, the bourgeoisie, whereas the rural community, they are not represented on the mass media. And with such, they feel like they are not part of the mass media because what they know, or maybe their own stories, are not being told. And when we look at things like sports, we see that women are not really involved in sport, not because women do not like sport or football in particular, but it is because there is a sort of I don't know, perception that sport, especially football, is for the male, is for men, because from the onset it was very difficult to find a woman presenting commenting, like a female commentator talking about sport. It was like, where are you from? Are you really a woman? But since with a lot of advocacy on gender balance, with the inclusion of women in the media, especially in the domain of sport, the dynamic seems to have been changing. Today, we can find women fully involved in sport. They narrate sport and report sports. So we need to really involve everybody in the media, report about everybody, the minorities, the underrepresented communities, so as to make them feel like they are part of the news. The news should not be excluded from them. Furthermore, we'll look at the fact that there is a lot of negativity on the media today. There isn't a single day that we'll get up and go to the media or online to check for news, and we don't hear that maybe there was a shooting here, there was a terrorist attack in this country, and all the like. So we need to avoid a lot of negativity and focus more on positivity. We need to change the dynamics. People are tired of hearing death every day. So we need to tell them what is positive about them. Maybe take them to some touristic areas around them, some good restaurants where they can have good meals, and maybe recreational centers. So we have to reduce the level of negativity that we share on the media, because too much negativity is just about portraying the problems every day without the solution. So we have to move from disseminating not just the problem to presenting the problem and the solutions. Far from that, we'll look at another point to rebuild and regain public trust vis-a-vis the mass media. And to do this, all of us have to come together as one to combat the spread of misinformation, fake news, and hate speech. Yeah, because today we see that there is a lot of fake news on the internet, on the media, and hate speech continues to be the order of the day. People tend to look at the other as as his enemy, or maybe as a rival, whereas we believe that we are all human beings with equal rights and dignity. To end this topic about rebuilding and regaining public trust, we would like to recommend that journalists and media organs should always ensure that they protect their news sources, the information sources, where you get your information. You have to make sure that you always protect that source, because you will one day go to the same source for another information. Because if I give you information today concerning, let's say, the ongoing crisis, political crisis in Cameroon, the socio-political crisis in Cameroon, I see maybe I witness an attack, and I tend to confide in to a journalist that this is what happened. I saw this group, this other side attacking this other side. So if that journalist takes my information and my data and share it with the public, at that point, I am not safe as the information provider or the information source. So in order to regain and rebuild public trust vis-a-vis the mass media, we all need to be able to protect our news sources. We should keep confidential information confidential. Okay, in a nutshell, the mass media should respect the basic characteristics of news writing, which are objectivity. The mass media should be objective in the way they report happenings around them. They should be balanced, and consistency. They should be transparent they should report news or events in a more transparent and coherent manner. Yeah, they should also respect the proximity. That because when people they see what is closer to them, they identify. Maybe let's say cultural events, maybe cultural festivals. There are a lot of cultural festivals in Africa and my country in particular. And when those things are happening, we don't show them to the public. We feel the public will feel like their events are not important, and why should they respect you? Why should they trust you and follow you each time, or even watch your channel? Because they feel like they are being separated, excluded from what you are doing, whereas they know that what they are doing, you should give attention to that. So Journalists also have to report truth, fact-checking, report what they see and not manipulate information, maybe to suit one group, to suit an individual, or maybe let's take for instance a situation of an advert or an advertorial. The journalist says that when you use maybe this particular toothbrush, your teeth will become whiter as snow. But when you buy that particular toothbrush, you don't see that effect. So there is a contradiction between what the journalist tells the public, what the public see on the media, and the reality. So we should be able to present the truth to the public in order to regain their trust. Finally, we will call on all journalists to practice responsible journalism. We should be responsible in a writing style, a choice of words, and the way we present the news, because we can write a very good news article, but the way we present it, maybe the tone, the gesticulations do not represent what we are saying. So what I would like us to take away today is that we should all recall that journalism is a relationship. We should recall that journalism is a relationship, and everybody in a world should be able to relate with the mass media. They should be able to relate with whatever they see happening around them, whatever they see reporting around them, whatever they see on the mass media. They shouldn't feel like they are being excluded. So we have to build this relationship, just like we build a normal relationship with our neighbors, our friends, and whatsoever. So in order to maintain and regain public trust of the mass media, we need to be one another's keeper. And to crown it all, I would like to say that trust is not just it's not just a thought. We earn trust, so we need to build that trust for a creative society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for your speech. I'm really happy that you said about responsibility of other people and how important it is for all of us nowadays to be responsible for what we pass on, what information we spread. And you know, the way we want to see society tomorrow is the way is what we see on the screens and what we watch. We choose what we watch, and therefore that's what other people show us. We create the demand on the information, TV, internet, other types of spreading information like radio, books, newspapers, magazines. We create the demand. And, you know, I would like to live in society where there is respect to journalists. When a journalist is a respectful profession and we have healthy relationships with other people in society. And when mass media people, they spread human values, positive information, some creative models and examples of thinking and the best human actions. So I would like to ask our technical support to show us foundation number 5, the creative ideology, and introduce it to all our viewers and guests. So the creative ideology. Ideology should be aimed at popularizing the best human qualities and at the extinction of everything that is directed against the human. The main priority is the priority of humanness, high spiritual and moral aspirations of humanity, virtue, mutual respect, and straightening of friendship. creative conditions for the development and education of a human with a capital H, cultivating moral values in each person and society, prohibition of propaganda of violence, condemnation, and denunciation of any form of division, aggression, and anti-humane manifestations. I think you opened up and deepened into these foundations so well, and that's why I wanted to show it on a screen. Thank you very much. And let me introduce our next speaker, Mike. Would you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Mike, please? Mike from Sudan.
Mike Karagangwa, do you hear us now or not? If you hear us, maybe you can respond, please, if you hear us. Okay, so maybe we can come to our speaker in the coming minutes. And I think now we can also introduce our next speaker, and Isaac Ishimwe. We know that he is from Rwanda, and we have also several speakers from this country. And please share us your vision of journalism of a new format, and tell us what do you think as a journalist from Rwanda. Okay, so now we are then we'll try to come up to Elisha while the two previous guests are preparing themselves. Elisha, do you hear us now? If you do hear us now, maybe you can unmute yourself. And Olga was just talking about creative ideology, because you was also wanted to comment on this foundation you sent us yesterday.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, and I'm pleased to introduce myself. I'm Elisha Craver, journalist from the East Africa. I'm engaged at the Youth World Initiative, which is engaged to read the people, the youth, being in a job in a different ways. So for now, I'd like to talk about the impact of social media. Are you hearing me well?
Yes, we do hear you. We do hear you.
Yeah. I mean the impact of social media.
I think we lost him.
Yes, coming back.
Okay.
Yeah, the impact of social and mass media along the creative society. So for this, we have different key points we are going to caring about, which is cultural beliefs and the values. So we are going to check about the technology. According to the definition that the Alatra giving out, the creative ideology as defined along those 8 foundations of creative society. Ideology should be aimed at popularizing the best human qualities and stopping everything that is directed against human. Here is where I can address the way some of previous readers have got that ideology, but in a negative way, which led to the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994 in Rwanda. So the main priority is the priority of humanity. High spiritual and moral aspiration of a human, and the human is mutual respect, and the strengthening of the friendship. Creative conditions for development and education of a human with a capital H, cultivating moral values in each person in society. Here is where we get the implementation. For now, due to those horrible times we've passed through, for now we have a program which called Munyarwanda. We have no, there is no separation. We are one Rwandan, one people in one nation with the same ambition to build our country. So the prohibition of propaganda of violence, condemnation and denunciation of any form of division, aggression, anti-human manifestation, or describing what the creative ideology just means at all. So within describing some keynotes, the creative society along the media, we can say media is the reflection of our society, and it depicts what and how the society works. So the media, either is printed, electronic, or the web, is the only medium which helps in making people informed. It also helps in entertaining the public, educating and make people aware of the current happenings. And the media again has today become the voice of our society, which is the same as the such mission of aratra.org. Yeah? When the media has today become the voice of our society, the law and the nature of the media is creating awareness, and the people, so that they have to reach in a peace-free each other. So the television's impact on the today's people and the culture, as it shows that the television is one of the medium which is taking place worldwide. It's a broad one. The television has come as scapegoat for all sets of societal and cultural ills. So critics blames television for everything, from obesity to the murder rate, while television is to criticize. And much of the criticism is justified. We also need to keep in mind that the television benefits society in many important ways. What we can say about it, it's a spreading of the information and the way it affects society. You can talk about the information perception with it. You don't worry about the cultivation theory. Cultivation theory is the research field that investigates relationships between media exposure and beliefs about the world. Spreading of the information, cultivation theory predicts that the more time a person spends watching TV and being immersed in this mediated world, the more likely that person views about reality will reflect what is seen on TV. So like many media affect studies, cultivation arises, typically generates more affect sizes. Cultivation, continual and dynamic process, not an directional flow of influence from TV to viewers. In many countries today, TV has changed and is becoming more similar to the commercial model worldwide. So another thing we can continuing research in the cultivation traditions must begin to assess the more general content of the internet, mostly about YouTube channels, specifically to determine if there's who spend the time with computers, using it as the primary entertaining venues, come to view the world in much the same way as they see the message received on their computers. So broadly referred to as reception research or audience reception theory, there are four key perspectives that account for the difference in media users' characteristics that may influence attitudes and perceptions related to crime and the criminal justice system. The mainstreaming perspective illustrates that regardless of group difference, heavy media consumption homogenize individuals to share similar views. From this perspective, the media influence on punitiveness. Punitiveness would be the uniform across consumers' demographic characteristic and social background. So, and then we have to only how various type of social media consumption are related to punitiveness. On the other hand, cultivation theory holds that the repeated exposure to consistent media message gradually shapes, heavy viewers, really what perceptions and attitudes, making them similar to those shown in the media, in a mediated world. It means what people they saw, what people they hear about every day. It affects about their attitudes, the way they react, the way they walk. Like, for example, in Uganda, nowadays they are currently being in an election campaign, but there are there is a lot of media which are on the opposite, let me say, on the opposition manner. It means when they sensibilize their, let me say, their keynotes about the politics, it means that people get interested through, and they have to work through. So that's why I was just talking about cultivation theory. Author of cultivation theory has focused on TV. Some scholars have argued that social media could produce similar cultivation effects on user worldwide. I mean, nowadays, I think in every country there is a slave queen spirit which is taking over. A lot of people they want to embed it on entertainment due to what they see. A lot of people are sharing a naked collections due to that perspectiveness and the way those information have changed their way of thinking. So social media may exert larger influence that traditional media on younger population, such as college students, both because of their high rates of usage and they become the introductive features of social media, allows users to produce, share, and engage with their stories. So that's why social media for now is taking over, because they change. There are some more, I can say some filters for changing their view, how the people are looking at them. You see, that's why I can say that a social media for now is taking over more than a television as it was a few days ago. For now, as conclusion, we have to check how the content monetization ruins the industry. Previously, we were talking about the impact, as the title says, the impact of social media and mass media communication about how the people they are living. So according to this monetization, mostly comes from the YouTube. It makes, the vloggers to lose, I can say, to lose those ethics of journalism, because they want to publish those things which are going to let them get a profit. When they get viewers, that's the way they get entries. So for now,
Thank you
I
so
think
much,
we have to
Elisha, for your presentation, because we have also 3 more guests who joined us, and one of them is your colleague. And his name is Isaac, and he exactly wanted to continue the topic that you are mentioning now about social media. So let us give him a chance to discuss also the role of social media and how it's important also in our days, because as you are saying, that everyone can actually be a reporter. So, we don't need to wait for the TV news to show to us something in particular we want to see. We can produce the news by ourselves. And let us give now the chance to Isaac, your colleague from Rwanda, who will, I know, is a friend of yours. So let us introduce now Isaac Ishimwe to tell us his position as well. Thank you so much.
as the way he's a YouTuber influencers, I'd like him so that he can just relate with monetization. As it seems that the monetization, content monetization is the basic for all of those effects about the change of the social media generally, but mostly on YouTube. And most welcome, dear brethren Isaac. Most welcome for your presentation.
Thank you, Ida and others. I'm pleased to be here in front of you all, everyone around the globe. I think you all or everyone have heard about Rwanda genocide against Tutsi, which happened in 1994. And mostly it was influenced by media and political stuff. Let's keep it aside because many people have been talking about it, but we want to organize our society. I have what we have how media helped and promoted the reconciliation in Rwanda and how it is currently being used to mobilize humanity among Rwandans in how other countries which are facing a problem as what we have been through or might reflect on what happened to Rwanda. To make it short or to make it quick, YouTubers around the world have been changing the flow of
I think we've lost Zach, no? Or it's just my connection?
Isaac, if you hear us now, because there is also another option that we will now resort to. We can also record a video if we cannot be physically present, maybe because of the lack of the internet or lack of electricity, because if you don't have electricity, we don't have a good internet connection. So much everything is linked together. So we'll watch now the video of a journalist from Sudan, from Khartoum. Her name is Maya Gadir. And she's raising very important issues actually in that video. And Isaac also, in case you have this opportunity to record a video and send it to us, we'll be able also to play it while you'll be talking. So this will at least will secure us to some extent, so we'll have the chance to get your position, to understand you and to spread it further. So if our technical support can maybe show to us the video of our guest, absent guest, Maya Gadir from Sudan.
My name is Maya Gadir and I am a radio host as well as a project manager and a social activist from Khartoum, Sudan. Today I'm going to start straight away with asking you one straight up question. What is the first thought or the first image that comes to your mind when you hear the word Africa? Most people actually would subconsciously and automatically link the name to poverty, famine, civil wars, open safaris, huts, jungles, underdevelopment, lack of infrastructure, lack of medical care, and the endless charities and donations towards one crisis or another. And it is most probably a breakout of some sort. Unfortunately, these are the images that not only ourselves but the youth around the continent and the world in general are being fed by the media, whether it's on TV, radio, newspapers, and most importantly social media platforms such as Facebook, which is the most popular one here in Khartoum, Sudan, and to Twitter as well as Instagram. I remember I heard something that actually made me feel like a commodity or a product for all these social media platforms, and it actually goes along the lines of, if you are not paying for a product, then remember that you are the product. So for all these social media platforms that you sign in for free and have an account for absolutely free, remember that you are being used for a service of some sort. You're going to be studied, you are part of a statistics, you are part of a study to the human behavior and also also to understand the human natures more. And the influence that we get from the various social media platforms on our personal lives is tremendous, to the extent that you might have not noticed the changes in your cells due to its subtle effect on us as human beings. There is a very interesting documentary that talks about social media platforms and explains the effects of social media platforms on us as human beings, but it also shows you the impact of social media on a whole region as well as a whole continent by spreading fake news, and how the internet is incapable of sifting fake news from real news. And with that being said, the youth are the most targeted group of people by these news, because they are the majority of users on these platforms, which means that the youth around the world are being bombarded by a crazy amount of information and news and updates and all of that, which might be true or it might not be true. With that being explained, and knowing how social media platforms does not only push fake news but negative ones too, due to its interactions with viewers, the audience, especially us, all the negative news gets the more interaction from everybody. And we as human beings, we always mirror what we watch on social media platforms especially. So we are constantly being forced to react a certain way by the media in general, and social media specifically. Remember that we are constantly being bombarded by negative images that not only reflect our own countries, but it also reflects neighboring countries here in the continent, in Africa. But we have to constantly remember that there is another side of the story. As much as there are negative news stories and events, there must be some positive, uplifting stories about the African continent, about all the countries around the African continents. Media in general, as we all know and we are all aware of, should try to change the narrative it is feeding the audience about the African continent. With these images, the African youth are encouraged to immigrate, looking for a better life and a better future in the West, forgetting all about the great countries in this continent that has been developing and rising economically, such as Rwanda, and other countries that has always been stable and filled with opportunities, like Botswana. During the coronavirus pandemic, Ethiopia was distributing COVID-19 aid planes to all the African countries for absolutely nothing, for absolutely free. Tanzania created a herbal medicine that alleviated the COVID-19 symptoms, which was attacked by the global community as well as the WHO, the World Health Organization. Some of the first countries who declared that they are corona-free were Eritrea, Tanzania, and the Seychelles. All these superb, positive, uplifting headlines skipped most of the global news agencies' headlines, including the local national news. Surprisingly, it also disappeared from social media platforms. People in Sudan had no clue about these stories, let alone the rest of the world. I'm not saying that we as an African nation and African youth should run away from our realities and ignore our true issues and problems that varies from corruption, political dysfunctionalities, lack of freedoms, etc. But focusing on positive news and events while being aware of all the challenges that we face day to day, not only as singular countries but the continent as a whole, is extremely important. Uplifting positive news such as these will help change the narrative and the image of our youth, of our continent to the youth, and it will also allow them to see the hope in our countries instead of going west. We need to tell news from our side of the story, and we need to tell new stories, and we must start uplifting one another with positivity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Actually, our guests for today will just try to make a second attempt to try to see if Mike from Sudan managed to get a connection to be able to participate in the telebridge. Mike, do you hear us now, maybe? Okay, so basically, we would like to invite those guests who couldn't connect to us today in our upcoming telebridges. And also nowadays, I think it's becoming clear to the viewers of our event and to the guests as well that it's a high time we should reconsider our values, and we should start a trend, a journalism of new format that will help us to move forward and come closer to the creative society. And our technical support will show to us 8 ALLATRA foundations again. Just to go our telebridge, and this as well on 8 ALLATRA foundations. And these are human life, human freedom, human safety, transparency and openness of information for all, the creative ideology, the development of personality, justice and equality, and self-governing society. And
I would
again,
like to,
I'll just...
sorry. I would like to mention that we have another person that couldn't, because of bad internet connection, attend our roundtable today. Iskander from Tunisia, and we have also his video prepared. We would like to see it and hear it. I want to ask technical support to put it on the screen, please.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, I would like to say I'm so sorry for not being with you today, and I also want to apologize for not being responsible. But I'm here for introducing all the ideas that I would like that I planned to share with you during the recent hour when you were talking about mass media and its role on societies in Africa in general. So, here I'm going to talk about the most important points or topics that we are suffering from in our country, Tunisia. Of course, I'm going to use my opinions, my ideas, my thoughts in order to, let's say, to share the points of the topics in general, and in order to try to find out what can we do in that idea in general. So, to begin with, what was mass media in Tunisia looking for? What was Tunisian mass media working on during those days, of course? First of all, after the Tunisian revolution and the transition democracy, we can see that there are many changes in our society. So, to begin with, the contents that many or more than one TV was showing is also is all about maybe, let's say, about the bad topics that could impact negatively people all over the country. So, to begin with, for example, I'm going to talk about the example of Al-Hiwar al-Tunsi. Al-Hiwar al-Tunsi has many shows, let's say, which is plans to make some kind of entertainment, some kind of exchanging jokes or something like that. So today, if we are going to talk about those shows as a sort of entertainment, as a kind of enjoyable acts, we will not find the main role of journalism. For example, during the recent days in Tunisia, while the country is suffering from the economical crisis and financial crisis, if we are going to talk about the impacts of coronavirus on tourism, on many sectors in the country, if we are going to talk about the the marches, the protesters, the energetic resource, which was I don't know, which knows detective, let's say, or something like that. So, personally, as a journalist, I was ignoring all kind of TV shows, which is works on entertainment, which is works on negative topics, which works on buzz ideas or something like that. I don't know if I was right or not, but I just planned to work on another kind of topics. For example, of course, I'm going to talk about myself as a journalist. During the recent day, I was working on making a new idea. For example, I have my personal page on Facebook, and I used to make to start a new kind of shows which is about making an interviews with some political with some public people, like my recent interview with Omar Mansour, who is uh, a lawyer and the recent Minister of Justice Ministry. Also, I made another works like an interview with the Minister of Education about the general conditions in Tunisia during that worst crisis, let's say, coronavirus, and we know that the confinement and its impact on education during the recent days. I also made another interview with a person in the parliament, which is Leila Haddad, as a person works on the field of human rights, of laws, and in the same time as an activist in the Tunisian parliament. We've been talking about the Tunisian projects, big projects, which is belongs to investment, which is belongs to what is going to happen during the next months, what are the troubles that impact the transition democracy, the field of human rights, all those kind of ideas I try to work on. So if we are going to talk about the Tunisian mass media, we need to find out the new solutions in order to save the main role of journalism. We need to try to find out new ways in order to fix and in order to make a new step and a serious step. This is my idea. By the way, as a solution, I guess we need to work more about civil societies. Like, I don't know, for example, we can plan many things about some formations about making how to make the best journalistic topics, how we can find a new solution in order to change the people visions to the media in general. I hope that we are going to find out the solution, and I hope that we will find out the best and the greatest solutions for the country. That's at all. I'm going to make another video speaking in Arabic.
So, thank you so much, Iskander and Maya, for giving us this chance to be able to play your videos, though you are not physically with us, but your videos actually gave us new inspiration and the topics that we should cover in the upcoming roundtables on journalism, because only together we can find solutions. And you was also talking about how to choose the best topics for the news. I think today's roundtable is already a topic for a very good news to share in our social media as well as among our colleagues, because this roundtable actually shows to us that we can find solutions and we are capable to do it, and we are ready to do it. And I think also our technical support can show to us the video again about creative society, because we just would like to remind you that as we already realized, we cannot consider journalism isolated from the creative society. As our speaker from Cameroon, Claudia, was mentioning about envelope, like bribe envelope. So, and why do we have actually the bribes in journalism? It's because the economic, we don't have economic security. And in our ALLATRA Foundation, it's talking about human safety, for example, where economic and guaranteed economic stability to us, to people, when we have no inflation or crisis, stable prices around the world, one monetary unit and fixed minimal taxation or no taxation at all, it's also giving journalists a chance to be proud of their profession and also to bring respect to their profession. And most importantly is to bring trust, because we heard so many times from our speakers that they're upset as we as audience are losing trust in the mass media. So the journalists are also human beings at the same time. And that's why ALLATRA foundations, they are actually the basis for a creative journalism, or for a journalism of a new format as well. And I think maybe if our technical support can show to us the video as a concluding remark, it's going to be great. So we will see that these two topics are linked together.
First step would be for everybody to care about other people and not about themselves only.
People should respect each other, and, not dependent with the color, the gender.
We must avoid all this confrontation, you know.
The fact that we're all humans is what unites us. So,
but I think you start to think of yourself more as a person from the planet.
The task of the media is to help society find a common language and communicate.
I think friendship and being nice to each other can unite everyone.
I want to live in a society where the people are very conscious, so they make conscious decisions.
Work for the sake of society, for the sake of love, for the sake of connection.
I see that all people want two things: love and respect.
A compassionate society, a society that understands that your needs are, validated.
What unites us is being in relationship with each other.
It's about humanizing the human society.
Everybody has to be informed in a proper way.
Let's support each other. Let's help each other, no matter what another person may have.
In the creative society, human life will be of highest value, and the best human qualities will prevail.
kind of society, creative society, the informational stage. And the more people will find out about it, the faster it will be implemented. And of course, the role of mass media is very important. So today we answered the questions, what role does mass media play in society and how it affects the situation in our world and people's behavior? Who creates the demand on information around us? What can we do to rebuild trust in mass media? What should we do to popularize kindness, moral values, honor, dignity, friendship, and peaceful relationships among nations? The mass media serve the purpose of establishing a constructive, positive informational field. And people, as the consumers, are responsible too. They're creating the demand. The mass media of new format can make a great contribution to revival of human values worldwide. Thanks to internet technologies, even one man alone is capable of bringing basic human values in the society to reproduce information, quickly transmit and replace it. So, Olga?
We have also Kiram, who wanted to say concluding remarks because he said he would like to mention something. So Kiram, if you have some remarks or I don't know, suggestions or even ideas for the upcoming sessions on journalism, you are welcome because we are here for you.
Thank you, Olga. What I'm thinking is that we all are responsible for what we are speaking here today, and it's about striking a balance between creating a just or creative society and at the same time resolving the issues that we have been discussing, the challenges that the media in general is facing in today's world. So the paradox between the media world has to be resolved, and at the same time we all have responsibility as an individual plus as a society to enforce and to influence each other. And it's a big takeaway, I believe. I've been learning a lot from the discussion we have had so far, and it was really enlightening, and I thank you for that, and I really appreciate this, and I look forward to take part in upcoming events, and I think we all can create a difference by changing ourselves, and it's better to start with oneself so that we all are part of the society as a human, and in that way I think I believe we can influence the greater world, and it's really appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kiram. And let us ask also Claudia, Kanu, and Mohammed from Khartoum if they would like to add something as well.
Yes, I would want to add something to it. Is that what we have discussed today, this platform has given us opportunity to, realize that everything depends on us. Community journalism, like Claudia was mentioning, is something that all of us should be interested in. And community journalism in the sense that, just like the foundation number 4 or 5, if I remember precisely, talking about prioritizing the human values, so that it is humanity, about promoting those qualities like kindness, those qualities that promote supportive environment, qualities that promote both moral and spiritual humanness and virtues in man. I think if we focus more on this kind of journalism, the creative society will come to be. Especially that it is only in unity we can do this. It's not something that maybe we think we label ourselves, it is only for Africa. No, it's something that we have to reach out all over the world. We are all human beings, we are all humans. So that friendship, extension of friendship, conscientizing the human mind so that we understand that as human beings all over the world, that creative society can happen. And that is why I want to remind every one of us about that conference on the 20th of December, that it is very important that we should also make effort to join and invite our friends. Let's further see how we could bring creative society to be in our time, so that we could have a life where we are secured, we are happy, everybody is living comfortably and safe. And then I will also want to remind all of us too that the program you've just, the broadcast we're having today is all thanks to the efforts of the Alatra International Movement participants, which you too can be a part of. You could visit the website www.alatraunites.com. You could get more information about the Creative Society, you get more information about what we are doing today. And as well, you could also take part in this project. They are all creative projects. Let's start small. It doesn't matter how small. Let's start small and then we will see it grow. So you could also get information about this project from the same website, www.alatraunites.com. We are the society, and the society is the way we want it to be. I think it's enough for me. It's enough with the consumer-oriented mentality. It's time for us to, establish the creative society where all of us have a chance to develop to our full potentials and bring out the best in us. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, we mentioned many times the article, the 8 Foundations of Creative Society. You can also find it on the website, alatraunites.com. And if you support this project, if you support the creative ideas, please share this video with 2 hashtags, #AlatraUnites and #Creative Society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. I don't know if Muhammad and Claudia would like to say some concluding remarks, or what do you think? Or you are fine?
Actually, nothing to be added. Mashallah, all the colleagues and friends have mentioned everything just I wanted to mention. And I would lovely say that I'm very much happy to be in this meeting, in this type of round tables, or we can say rectangular tables, because we are using the virtual applications, which is looking like rectangulars. It's a pleasure to meet you people, and I would be there every time. Thank you for the Creative Society. Thank you.
Great. So let us meet in the rectangular round tables then later on. And goodbye, everyone, and see you then later. It was nice meeting you all.
Thank you, guys. It was amazing.
Let me just mention that on the upcoming conference, everyone's welcome to do the online online stream of the conference, and this will let more people to find out about creative society, creative ideas, creative ideology, and it will all bring us faster to our goal to live in a society we can be happy, and all our families will be happy too.
Yeah, that would be amazing if you guys can stream the conference to your Facebook or to all the platforms of your media that you have access to. And if you need support regarding the IT part, please let us know.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.